Hey guys, welcome to this week's AECVC. Q2 is finally over, so what time it would be better to actually look at the funding stats for our beloved sector, that is architecture, engineering, construction, and its supply chains, the AECS sector. So stay tuned and I'm going to walk you through the real macro numbers. Hey guys, welcome to this week's AECVC. It's July 2024, and that means we concluded Q2. With that, I want to take a look back at the funding statistics that we can see for AECS technology in Q2. That is architecture, engineering, construction, and supply chain technology. So with this episode, I'm going to walk you through what I see in the macro numbers. Let me actually begin by just making sure we're all talking about the same thing when I speak of AECS technology. And I have prepared this little slide deck I'm going to go through. But so in terms of AECS technology, the definition that I'm using continuously throughout my streams and the numbers is it includes the core construction technology. That's what people refer to as ConTech. Renovation technology is also included, for example, renovation marketplaces or retrofit insulation. Why? Because they are project businesses that also address the same kind of asset. They follow the exact same dynamics, and you will find a lot of overlap also between the market participants, between construction and renovation. Planning and design, that is the AE part of AECS. In many cases, it contains the computer-aided engineering stack. It includes the engineering services. It includes interior design. All these parts of the planning and design of the, let's say, overall construction market. And then finally, the supply chains bit. So supply chains, I don't include everything that is out there in terms of logistics or supply chains. That would be way too much. But I make a deliberate choice of selecting in the supply chains, what is the B2B marketplaces that serve construction? What are payment solutions that dedicate to construction? So that's what the supply chain part is about. So let's dive into the numbers. What we could see in Q2 2024 is that we have actually surpassed 34 billion in total VC funding. And for the first time ever, I've actually split it out between just the narrow definition, which is the top of the scope, the core construction, and the wider definition, which is the 34 billion that includes the renovation, the planning and design, as well as the supply chains dedicated to construction. And so this is a very healthy growth, which actually cannot be seen in equal amounts in many other sectors, because the growth in 2021 was so strong in so many other sectors that the curve looks extremely flat for many other sectors, but not for AECS technology. And so that is driven by consistent quarterly growth since that record year, 2021. So you see here pre-2021, the rolling quarters of the last 4 quarters, which gives you an estimate on a rolling basis of how much funding went in a full year, has always hovered around like 2.5 to 3 billion prior to 2021. I eliminate 2021 from this analysis because it was an outlier all over venture. And then since 2021, you can see that we're more like 3 billion on a 4 quarters basis is actually the floor. And we have elevated to 3.7 just in 2023 and 2024. If I had shown you here the 2022 numbers, also post 2021, it would have been even higher because the 4 quarters in 2022 were very good. So if you then average that out and look at the peaks, you see the real pattern. So pre-2021 versus post-2021, we have achieved and unlocked much higher peaks in AECS technology, as well as much higher averages, with about 227% higher peak than we had before that record year. Now, my favorite statistic is actually looking at whether AECS technology gains in importance globally as its share of the total venture funding increases or decreases. What you see here is that pre-2021, the share hovered between 0.17 to 0.49%. The 0.49 was an outlier quarter, and it was the quarter right before 2021, which was the outlier. And post-2021, we consistently, with the exception of Q1 24, consistently actually surpassed the share that our sector had in global VC funding. And you see the range on the right-hand side. Q1, we were at 0.13%. That certainly has been an outlier. as has the 0.1%, which was the Q1 2022 that I was just referring to. But consistently in the medium range, we're higher than we were ever before 2021 in our share and our importance for global venture funding. The trend is your friend. We're clearly trending in the right direction, which tells me that more and more top-down capital allocation is moving in our sector, and I expect this trend to continue, which is also reflected in the funding round sizes. They are still near all-time highs. You can see here in the purple color, this is our sector seed stage, measured as 2014 round sizes. So we're almost like 3 times larger on seed rounds than we were 10 years ago. And even on like A's and B's, we're still at about 150% of what we were 10 years ago. The A's and B's, they took a dive since 2021, while the seed rounds were relatively stable. That's a phenomenon we see mostly all over venture, as you can see here. So here we are moving in lockstep with the overall venture ecosystem. The growth stage, however, and this is very interesting, we're actually being more resilient in construction tech. This is a surprise for me, I have to say, than the overall venture funding. So the overall venture funding, you see here, the peak in 2021, lots of like printed money moving into all of the technology sectors. And then that obviously led to a nosedive, as we all know. In Constru-Tech, actually, we're being a little bit more resilient here. 2024 to date, this one I would discount because we're only half year in, and the growth rounds are the ones where most of the capital is actually accumulated. So we might just see a statistical effect in the second half of the year, which brings you back here. But overall, you see that the trend is actually trending up, while for overall venture, it's trending down. And so that's very interesting. To me, my interpretation here is it's a baseline effect. We were an underinvested sector for many years, still are, and so we're growing from a small baseline. So if you redraw this chart in a few years with me, I think we will also see more volatility as we're growing into our own investment in the sector. Now, what I find interesting, and this is a new analysis we've added here, my colleague Gabriele and I, was that the top 10 deals, what is their concentration within the overall funding in the quarter? And you see it on the right-hand side, the top 10 deals represented only 34% of the funding in the quarter. That is actually very healthy. Usually in an underinvested sector, you would have 1 or 2 companies make up 50% of the funding in a strong quarter. Katerra in the early years of construction tech was exactly that, right? The top 4 deals make up 23%. So this shows us that we have a constant flow of relevant companies that capital gets allocated to. The top 10 on the left-hand side, you see them here. Several of them, actually, if I remember correctly, 4 were in the area of decarbonization technologies such as ERA, Neustark, Defy, here's a robotics company from our portfolio, Marketplace from our portfolio, SaaS company from our portfolio, Tendered is a marketplace in Saudi Arabia. Sealed is a company that helps with decarbonization of existing homes. And Hierarch is a software company in the planning and design. So overall, the distribution and the lack of concentration is a very healthy signal. Now, finally, looking at the unicorns, we have no change in unicorns since Q4 last year. Q4 last year, Vive was elevated to the dead status. Unfortunately, it went into liquidation, was previously unicorn. Currently, we have these unicorns alive, of which 3, however, haven't raised money for 5 years. That is House, Kujala, and Tubato. So these, we don't know. The private valuations might actually be lower. Some of the existing investors might have downgraded them. It could also be that they are net profitable now. I have no specific insight here. And if they're net profitable, the valuation might still be justified. And then we've actually 4 companies here from Australia, Europe, and US that were previous private unicorns and that either got acquired or went public. So overall, no big change on the unicorn front. And I expect that to perhaps change in the next 1 or 2 years. Again, so with that being said, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the Q2 update. I'm going to do this now every quarter.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Make sure that you subscribe under aecvc.com, and you can also find me on LinkedIn. See you next time.